The phrase, "the next election," not the next generation, captures one of the most damaging habits in modern politics. It describes a way of thinking where political leaders make decisions based primarily on how those choices will affect their chances at the next election, rather than how they will shape the lives of citizens years or even decades into the future. While elections are a vital part of democracy, when short-term political survival becomes the main goal of leadership, long-term national development is often sacrificed. In many countries, political leaders operate under intense pressure to show immediate results. Roads must be commissioned, subsidies announced, salaries adjusted, and promises fulfilled quickly, often in ways that are visible and popular. These actions can create the impression of progress, but they do not always address the deeper structural problems facing a nation. Education systems remain weak, healthcare underfunded, institutions fragile, and inequality entrenched. The benefits of real reform take time, and time is something election-focused politics rarely allows. This mindset creates a cycle where leaders avoid difficult but necessary decisions. Long-term investments in education, research, climate resilience, infrastructure maintenance, and institutional reform are postponed because they do not guarantee immediate political rewards. In some cases, leaders even dismantle existing long-term policies simply to distance themselves from their predecessors, even when those policies are working. The result is policy inconsistency, wasted resources, and stalled progress. Thinking only about the next election also encourages populism. Leaders may promise what is easy rather than what is realistic. They may spend beyond national means, increase public debt, or implement unsustainable welfare programs to gain short-term popularity. While such measures may win votes, they often leave future governments and future generations burdened with economic instability, inflation, and limited fiscal space. The damage is not only economic. Democratic institutions also suffer under election-driven politics. When leaders are focused primarily on retaining power, they may attempt to weaken independent institutions that could challenge them. Courts, electoral bodies, the media, and civil society may come under pressure. Over time, this erodes public trust and weakens the democratic system itself. Citizens begin to see politics as a game of self-interest rather than a tool for collective progress. By contrast, leadership that thinks about the next generation understands that true success cannot always be measured within a single term of office. It focuses on building strong institutions rather than strong personalities. It invests in people, systems, and policies that will continue to deliver benefits long after the current leaders have left the stage. This kind of leadership accepts that some reforms will be unpopular, slow, or misunderstood in the short term, but essential for long-term stability and prosperity. Education is a clear example. Improving education systems takes years, sometimes decades. Teachers must be trained, curricula updated, infrastructure improved, and access expanded. The real results, an informed, skilled, and productive population, may only be visible to the next generation. Leaders focused on elections may neglect this sector because the political payoff is delayed, but leaders focused on the future see education as a foundation that determines everything else. The same applies to infrastructure. Building durable roads, reliable power systems, clean water networks, and digital infrastructure requires planning beyond election cycles. Poorly planned, rushed projects may look impressive during campaigns but fail quickly, wasting public funds. Long-term thinking prioritizes quality, maintenance, and sustainability, ensuring that infrastructure serves citizens for decades, not just until the next vote. Environmental and climate policies also expose the gap between short-term and long-term leadership. The effects of environmental degradation and climate change are often gradual, but their consequences can be devastating. Leaders who think only about elections may ignore these risks or postpone action, passing the cost to future generations. Leaders who think about the future recognize that protecting the environment is not optional. It is a responsibility to citizens yet unborn. Another critical area affected by election-focused politics is youth development. Young people often represent the largest demographic in many countries, yet their needs are sidelined because they may not vote in large numbers or lack political influence. Long-term leadership invests in youth empowerment, skills development, entrepreneurship, and inclusion, understanding that today's youth will shape tomorrow's society. The next election mindset also fuels political division. Instead of uniting citizens around shared national goals, leaders may exploit ethnic, religious, or regional differences to mobilize support. These tactics can be effective in the short term, but they leave deep scars that undermine national unity for years. Leadership focused on the next generation seeks cohesion, inclusion, and dialogue, recognizing that social harmony is essential for sustainable development. Importantly, thinking about the next generation does not mean ignoring democracy or elections. Elections remain crucial for accountability and representation. The difference lies in how leaders approach governance between elections. Do they govern with courage, honesty, and long-term vision, or do they govern with fear of losing power? Do they ask what will secure their next term, or what will secure their country's future? Citizens also play a role in shaping this dynamic. When voters reward short-term handouts over long-term policies, they unintentionally encourage election-driven leadership. Building a culture that values long-term thinking requires public awareness, civic education, and responsible media. Societies that demand vision, integrity, and sustainability from their leaders are more likely to receive it. History shows that nations that progressed significantly did so because leaders made difficult decisions that benefited future generations. These leaders are often criticized in their time, but celebrated later. Their legacy is not the number of elections they won, but the institutions they built and the stability they created. Ultimately, the choice between focusing on the next election or the next generation is a choice between political convenience and national responsibility. Short-term politics may deliver quick wins, but it rarely delivers lasting progress. Long-term leadership may be harder, slower, and riskier, but it is the only path to sustainable development, stability, and dignity for future citizens. As we look ahead, the challenge for modern politics is not just how leaders win elections, but how they govern once they have one. The true measure of leadership is not how well it performs at the ballot box, but how well it prepares a nation for the future. The question every society must ask is simple but profound. Are we being governed for the next election, or for the next generation?